Okay, the 13th and final yang pose is sensuality pose. Probably a good point to say, this distinction between yin and yang is somewhat artificial, and it's just a classification. Some of them are like very yang, others you could argue it either way. The other thing is some people say, why they're 13 and not 30 or 3 or 5. Well, it's a way of splitting it. We could go into lots of variations. What we found is this number is enough to give a really good repertoire to help people with most kind of life issues that just generally come up, but it's not so many that it's impossible for teachers to learn. Okay, so the last officially yang one is sensuality pose. This is sometimes called sex tiger. It has other names that will go unsaid. It's really about exploring our sensuality and our sexuality. Obviously this, can be a delicate topic for people, but it's also part of who we are. So for me, it's like, it's part of life, it's part of our nature, it's part of our humanity. There are, a small number of people that say they're completely asexual, and, I get it, fair enough. Though for the majority of people, this is just part of our life, and sensuality can be part of everyone's life. Yes, sometimes this is looking at a sexual context, but it might be something just like really enjoying a really good piece of chocolate. It's like, that's also in this quality. Or if I listen to really good music, there's a way in which I go into that passion pose, which we've explored already, or even like, that naturally comes up in my body. And you'll see again in certain cultures, I used to live in Brazil, for example, there was a sensuality to the whole culture. So yes, we're looking at the sexual context, but also much more than that with this. As ever though, and this goes for any pose, if you don't want to do it, feel free not to, or just tone it down. If a pose feels overwhelming, emotionally too challenging, or like makes you laugh too much, that's another way this can show up, then you can just moderate it a little bit. So if someone struggles with, big authority pose, you can just do like a little authority pose, and in the micro postures video, we'll look at that a bit more. For this one, actually, I'm going to ask Emily to come and help me to guide you through it, because we found that male and female role models really helps people with this. This is one that can look a little bit different with men and women. So Emily's agreed to help me out and guide along with us. And if either of us inspires you, then great. Okay, so if you wouldn't mind. So with this one, the pose is relatively oblique. So it's not front on, it's side on. And there's a hip pop involved. Yeah. The head goes slightly down. And the mouth is important. So find your mouth, breathe with your mouth open. It's almost like a growl under the breath too. Breathing with the chest. Notice how that feels. Does that feel familiar? There might just be a little spice to how you walk in the world, how you live. Maybe not as extreme as this. Does this feel familiar? Is it home base for you? Where do you need this little bit of sensuality? You can swap sides at any point as well if you want to give the other hip a break. You'll see some slight different ways different teachers do it. I like to have almost covering myself. It's almost like a mystery, and there's a twist and an obliqueness to it again. You'll see we're doing slightly different variations, which is fine. Where do you need that in your life? Where do you need this quality of sensuality? Mouth breathing, chest breathing. You'll see that when people are on a date and having a really good time, the breathing will come much more into the chest. Okay, coming out of that and noticing how it feels just to sort of stand in a slightly more sort of flat, normal way. Again, it might feel like a relief, it might feel boring, you might notice something else, yeah? Emily, thank you so much appreciated. I always think there's a certain vulnerability to this one, so I do very much appreciate your help, particularly with this one. And again, notice how that is for you and take a few notes if anything came up for you there.